nation with this election has a precious, fleeting opportunity to move past the bitterness, cynicism, and divisive battles of the past, a chance to chart a new way forward. Not as members of any one party or faction, but as Americans. And let me say, I know there are people of various political views watching tonight, and I want you to know, I promise to be a president for all Americans. You can always trust me to put country above party and self, to hold sacred America's fundamental principles, from the rule of law to free and fair elections to the peaceful transfer of power. I will be a president who unites us around our highest aspirations, a president who leads and listens, who is realistic, practical, and has common sense, and always fights for the American people.
Former President and the Republican nominee Donald Trump has spoken to our affiliates at Fox immediately after Kamala Harris's address to the Democratic Convention. Let's take you there now.
Joining us now by phone, the 45th President of the United States, former President Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you for joining us. You were truth socialing along this speech. What is your first reaction to it real time tonight?
Well, the biggest reaction is, why didn't she do the things that she's complaining about? All of these things that she talked about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do everything. But she didn't do any of it. She could have done it 3.5 years ago. She could do it tonight by leaving the auditorium and going to Washington, D.C. and closing the border. She doesn't need a bill. I didn't have a bill. I closed the border and created the safest border we've ever had in the history of our country. She could have done all of these things, and she could still do them. She's got 4.5, 5 months left. She can go there right now. She can do all of the things, many of the things that she's talking about and complaining about. It was a lot of complaining. She didn't talk about China. She didn't talk about fracking. She didn't talk about crime. She didn't talk about 70% of our people are living in poverty. She didn't talk about housing, really. The trade deficit. She didn't talk about child trafficking that she's allowed to happen because she was the border czar and she presided over the weakest border in the history of our country. It's an invasion. I was there today, as you know, Brett. It's an invasion of our country taking place at our border, our southern border. It's a total invasion. And now it's starting at our northern border also, through Canada. And she didn't talk about any of that because she talks, but she doesn't do. It's no action. But, you know, look, other than that, it was a nice-looking room.
Mr. President, Martha McCallum here. She said that she is promising middle-class tax cuts, and she says that if you are elected, it will cost Americans $3,900 more a year in increased taxes. She's tying all of that to this Project 2025. That's where that number is coming from. What do you say to that?
Well, she knows I have nothing to do with Project 25. They throw it out. A group of people got together. They did a thing. I haven't even seen it. I don't want to see it. I told them specifically, I don't want to see it. People know where I stand. I lower taxes. She's raising taxes. She's going to give a tax increase of 4 to 5 times what people and companies are paying right now. The country will go into a depression if they do it. She didn't talk about interest rates. I mean, the interest rates are now getting close to record rates. People can't do business. Nobody can borrow money. People can't go to the American dream and buy a house because they can't afford the interest rates. And even if they could, the money isn't available. She didn't talk about any of that. No, if she got in, look, she's a Marxist. She always was. She always will be. She's going to leave the border open. I was there today, and the Border Patrol, as you know, gave me total endorsements and all of that. I've gotten endorsed by almost every major police group in the United States. But she is a Marxist with open borders. She's not going to have any fracking in Pennsylvania. She's going to close down the oil and gas industry, and our country is going to go bust.